Hello, welcome back to the channel. I'm the Disc Golf Nerd, and today we're going to talk about Flippy discs. Last week, I posted a video talking about my top 5 favorite understable discs on the market of all time, and today we're going to expand on that. I'm going to show you those 5, and I'm going to also throw in a number of other understable, naturally understable Flippy discs in my inventory that I think are worth your consideration. A lot of talk about discs is about how stable they are. This disc is super beefy, this disc is the beefiest whatever. You know, flat top, overstable approach discs are absolutely critical discs that you guys know I have an affinity for. I've been collecting a whole bunch of different specimens for that for a different video that I'll post eventually, but not maybe as much content about Flippy discs, discs that have natural turn, that move to the right naturally when you throw them flat, hyzer flip discs, turnovers, rollers, all the great stuff you can do with an understable disc. Also, all of these discs will be friendly for beginners, newer players, or people who just don't throw very far. Some people just don't throw very far, and they need some understability to help them out, myself included. So these are great discs for you to consider. Before we dig into the stack, quick shout out to my sponsors, Upper Park Disc Golf, the maker of the best bags on the market, and NSH Custom Discs. They make my signature Defiant, as well as a whole lineup of fully 3D printed discs. They're all PDJ approved. They're all made in their solar powered facility down in Arizona. Check them out. Disc Golf Nerd 10 will get you 10% off anything you need from NSH Custom Discs, and will get you 15% from Upper Park Disc Golf. So just enter it at checkout. You'll save some money. You'll also help provide some money for the channel and for me, and I really appreciate that very much. So let's get into it. All right, I'm going to drag this whole stack off to the side. We're going to start with my top 5 favorite Flippy discs of all time because I already have a full video about them, so I'm going to run through them relatively quick. Discraft Thrasher has to be my favorite high-speed distance driver with a lot of natural turn that I've ever used. Not a disc that's in my bag currently, but it's a really great Flippy disc for a lot of different types of players and a lot of different types of shots that you need some natural turn for. Long turnovers without turn and burn, nice roller disc, great hyzer flip distance disc, and a disc that will just kind of work naturally for you and still high speed enough that it'll come back at the end of the flight. Great distance driver for lower arm speed players. The Fury is one of the most understable, naturally understable discs that Latitude 64 makes, and this thing is the best ace disc I've ever had. Got an incredible ace with this thing back in 2018, and it's a fantastic roller disc, hyzer flip disc, very naturally understable, but it's a 9-speed. This is a great beginner driver for people that want something that's going to fly straight with good glide and be friendly to lower arm speeds. The Fury's phenomenal, and great, easy out-of-the-box roller disc. All the same attributes for the IT, but it's got a really nice, comfortable feel in the hand. I love the DX version. It's cheaper. I love the grip. I love the release out of the hand. They'd be really easy to replace. I don't got to worry about it. You know, if I lose it, I just go grab another DX one off the shelf. No big deal. 7.6 -2.1 are the flight numbers on this thing. Really flies and behaves kind of like a slower Fury. And I've actually been carrying this particular one in lieu of the Fury just recently. One of my favorite understable mid-ranges of all time is the Fuse. Opto Fuse, any of the fuses are going to be great. You can get them in baseline if you don't want to spend money on them. They still fly awesome, but these Opto ones will last you forever if you don't lose it, because it starts out nice and straight to slightly understable, and it's just going to kind of add a little bit more natural turn as it breaks in, but not a whole lot. You know, I've had fuses that I've thrown a lot, and they really don't fluctuate that much. They don't really break in all that much in my experience, but Fuse is a great disc. This one I like particularly for straight shots all the way, or smooth backhand turnovers. Really great for a left to right mid-range turnover with a lot of control. My favorite Flippy disc period of all time, my favorite disc of all time, pretty much, it's got to be, right? I mean, I go back and forth on this because there's other discs I really love, but I got to give the nod to the Discraft Soft Magnet. It's got to be beat up. If it's orange, that's bonus, but it's got to be a beat up softy with these kind of waffles on the top. Little puddles and indentations are beautiful for your thumb to tuck into. Best downhill disc of all time. Best woods disc I've ever used. Just snakes through fairways like nothing else. Flip it up straight and let it just hold straight down the fairway in the woods. Really phenomenal disc that I couldn't recommend enough, but it's got to be beat up. It's got to be one of those nice used ones. This is a new disc on the market. Really new disc on the market, actually. These are the Halloween edition Jester Peace Train. This particular run is nice flat top on it. It's got a really smooth, rounded, comfortable rim design on this disc. I've not fully reviewed this disc, but I've showed it in a couple of other videos, I believe. But yeah, the Jester Discs Peace Train, this thing's phenomenal. So much so that I've actually been using it in lieu of the fuse lately. I'm kind of testing it as a fuse replacement just because I find it really comfortable in the hand. I love the feel, and it's flying good. It's not quite as understable, but it is, this particular run with this flat top is definitely somewhat understable for sure. More so than the other runs that I've tested so far. If you haven't checked out anything from Jester, the Love Putter is also awesome, and they have a fairway driver coming out soon as well. Moving on to one of the most popular Latitude 64 discs of all time, this is the River. And the River is really kind of like a longer range fuse. A little bit more speed, a little bit more glide, but very similar. It's not as, just rip to the right, flippy as some of these other discs are. It's more slightly understable to just very, very neutral straight flying. But it holds a left to right supremely well. Tons of glide. This is an opto air, so it's even a little bit more understable than some other runs probably. The River is a great disc for anybody really, but especially for a little bit lower arm speeds and players that throw with finesse, want it to just kind of stand up and let the disc do the work. This is one of the few inherently flippy, understable putters that I throw that start out flippy. The Keystone 2.5, -1.1. I would probably put it closer to a -2. These are definitely understable. I throw them on hyzer, they flip up. If you throw them flat, they move to the right naturally. And definitely a really solid disc that I think a lot of players would like. It's got a very squared off front edge there and a little bit of a flat underside for putting. Great for longer putts in particular, in my experience, outside the circle, because it has a lot of nice glide to it. Can get a bit touchy in the circle and for your main putter, but if you like a little bit of a more straight to flippy putter, this could be a great one for you to check out. And this is probably about as close as it gets in terms of a viable replacement for a nicely worked in soft magnet like that one I showed you. Moving on to one of the best understable mid-ranges from Innova in my experience, and that's the Wombat. This is a G-Star Wombat, not a Wombat 3, a regular G-Star Wombat. You can see it's got the dome on there, it's got a big bead, it's got a very strange shape to it, and a little bit of a weird feel in the hand, I'm not going to lie. Might take some getting used to, but the flight's phenomenal. Again, somewhat akin to the Fuse, but more naturally understable, I would say. I believe I actually switched from the Wombat to the Fuse when I started throwing those. But this is a great disc, kind of like the broken in soft magnets, but much longer, much more distance potential. Actually, somewhat of a far-flying disc in general. Big glide, very, very straight, but holds a turn very easily. And you're going to want to throw it on some hyzer to get it to pop up if you want it to fly straight. Otherwise, it's going to naturally move to the right. Moving on to another one from a new company here on the channel. This is from Eurodisc, and this is the Transporter. This is a very naturally understable fairway driver, kind of leopardish, but with more natural flip to it. Easy roller disc, comfortable feel in terms of the rim shape here, not a very wide rim. And this plastic feels kind of somewhere in between like a premium plastic and a baseline. Maybe kind of like a pro plastic or so from Innova, I would say would be the best comparison I could come up with. But great flyer that is flippy out of the box. So easy to get down on rollers, easy to get to move left to right, brand new, straight off the shelf. The Discraft Meteor is one that probably could have been in my top 5 favorite understable discs of all time video, and really was just kind of bumped out by the Fuse because I've used the Fuse a lot more recently, and I think overall it's a little bit of a better disc. But the Meteor is phenomenal, very far-flying disc. This is one I used to give to a lot of beginners back in the day. I've gotten ace with this one from way back. 2010, I aced with this thing at Rooster Rock, and it was my go-to disc for years. But it's a little bit lightweight, and it's a little bit of a domey Meteor, so it's not my favorite feel in the hand. And this one I haven't used for quite a while, but it still flies great. I could still use it. A little bit smaller diameter and a little bit faster than a lot of the other mid-ranges in this list. I definitely think the Meteor is one that's worth your consideration if you're looking for a very inherently understable disc that will fly quite far as well. It's a theme, these understable mid-ranges like to get out there if you put them on the right line. The Discmania Evolution Origin 5.5 -1.1. This is another Latitude-made disc for Discmania, and probably my second favorite Discmania disc overall to the Link, which is another Evolution disc. This thing is very similar to the Fuse, but more flippy, I would say. Perhaps a bit quicker through the air, not as much of a floaty glide to it, but a really excellent hyzer flip disc. Could be a great woods disc, great beginner disc as well. Really cool die job on here. Shout out to my patron Ed for sending me this thing. Awesome disc, and happy to have it in my collection. I might break the mid-ranges out into their own video, my top 5, understable mid-ranges. Let me know in the comments if you want to see that video. RPM Discs P Waka Waka. I think this has appeared on the channel before, but I'm not 100% sure where that might have been. This is an old glue die I did a couple years back. And this is a great disc as well. This thing is very similar to the Fuse. And it's got a little bit more of a kind of pointed front rim there. A little bit of a faster feel and flight to it. Big glide and a very smooth understability to it. Once again, holds a really nice, smooth turnover for you. Great hyzer flip disc. Not one I've thrown a ton, but definitely one I still feel confident in recommending to you guys. P Waka Waka from RPM Discs. Really high quality plastics that they use. This thing is super grippy. It's got a little bit of a gummy feel to it, but the grip is phenomenal. And excellent disc. I should probably throw that more, honestly. I haven't really used it too much. And the last few are actually from NSH Custom Discs. So I have a bunch of these, and somebody who works with the company, sponsored, etc., etc. I have all the different releases that they've put out over the last little while here, including this one, the 1701. This is probably the flippiest disc in this entire lineup. This thing is just guaranteed flip. Throw it however you want. It's going right at some point, and to some degree. Just a matter of how much is going to do it. You could throw this thing on hyzer and get it to land and roll backhand. So if you're looking for something that's guaranteed flippy, the 1701 would be a good disc for you to check out. It's got that kind of sharper distance driver rim shape to it. 3D printed disc, so you can get these in all kinds of different custom colors, custom designs. This one's got the really nice bright kind of peach orange with the clear top. Makes it pop. You can see the light. You can see my fingers behind it because the top is clear. That's so the light will come through that logo. Super flippy disc. The NSH Custom Discs Hexus is a laser straight to naturally very understable mid-range putter hybrid. You can see it's got that, somewhere in between like the Origin and the Keystone, in terms of the depth and how blunt it is. This is a disc I also haven't tested as much as I probably should, but it naturally moves soft to the right all the way. It actually reminds me quite a bit of the Glitch in some ways, but it definitely has a little bit more of a natural flip up before it starts to like just float out. But if you pop it up straight without flipping it over, it will just hold dead straight all the way until it lands, which is cool. And finally, discs that kind of had to be in the list. We're talking about naturally flippy, understable discs, and this is the disc I throw more than just about anything else. I have a birdie streak going with this thing all the way back to the spring. I think just about every round I've played that I've thrown it off the tee at least once or twice, I've gotten a birdie with this thing. Even like partial rounds, I've only played a few holes. Somehow I still will snag a birdie somewhere along the line with this thing. And this is the Disc Golf Nerd Defiant. Unlike just about any other disc on the market, flat top, wild chunky rim on this thing, feels incredible and a power grip. What I like about this thing is that it's very high speed flippy, but it's low speed stable to overstable. If I keep it on hyzer, throw it high, it will spike in sharp like it's almost overstable. But if I throw it lower with less hyzer, it will flip up and can move to the right, or will flip up dead straight and hold all the way and then have a little bit of a fade at the end of the flight. So really versatile and unique disc that I would definitely recommend checking out if you have not tried it. And every purchase of these goes directly to supporting me and the channel. And it also just, warms my heart, guys. I mean, hopefully somebody cares out there at this point. I don't even know who watches this channel anymore, but presumably somebody does. Thank you very much to Upper Park Disc Golf and NSH Custom Discs. Once again, use my code DiscGolfNerd10 to save money at both of those places. 10% from NSH, 15% from Upper Park Disc Golf. Those commissions go directly into my pocket and help me continue to make this channel possible. Shout out to the Disc Golf Nerd Patreon support team. Thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you very, very soon. Cheers.